Hey guys, this episode is a little bit of a problem for me. We recorded and there was something wrong with the mixer. I think the cable came loose or something. So throughout the entire episode, there's a loud chopping sound. So instead of just dumping the whole episode, I figured I'd just throw a disclaimer on it and give it to you guys. If it's too distracting, I have put timestamps on there so you can find topics you want to listen to if you don't want to listen to a full hour and a half of us sounding like we're being interrupted by the aliens from Signs. So yeah, I apologize, and we'll have a better episode for you next week. Thank you.
This is Matt at Obsessive Viewer.
This is Tiny at Obsessive Tiny.
And this is Mike at I Am Mike White.
And welcome to ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer Podcast. Music all
The Obsessive Sports Center.
Yes. Oh, geez, that's coming.
Obsessive sports fan.
Yes.
I guess that is me.
I did have an idea for
after the Bears lost that last game, I was a wreck.
Really?
It was a rough game.
It was a rough game.
Mm-hmm.
Just the way they lost it.
No.
But we don't have to talk about that.
Nah, we're fine. Thank you guys for listening to the Obsessive Viewer Podcast, where we missed a week because I had my gallbladder taken out.
Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, I know. Well, thank my gallbladder, man. I'll post a picture online.
I did. I went to the hospital after you had the surgery, and I thanked it. I was like, "This is your fault."
Nice.
I'm just gonna miss that gallbladder so damn much.
Me too.
Now I'm gonna cry.
It's okay. I have it resting in a pickle jar next to my bed.
Is it pickling?
It is. It's weird. It's gonna be good to go pretty soon.
Yeah, if you've never had pickled gallbladder, you're really missing out.
You really are.
Delish.
Oh, that's gross.
A little bit.
All right, before we get started, I just want to say thank you to Star Tissue for the music that you guys just heard. Again, they're great. You can find them on SoundCloud and on Facebook and all that stuff. I'll put links in the show notes. So how you guys been? I mean, we didn't do an episode last week because my gallbladder's a douchebag. But, how have you guys been?
I'm great.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good
Awesome.
times.
That's about it.
Yeah. That's the thing. Listeners, we don't really have, a plan for this episode. This is just going to be kind of our own little, I don't know. It's our own little topicless episode. So we're just kind of fly by the seat of our pants. Because, frankly, I'm still a little tired and on Vicodin. Not really. I took a Vicodin last night, but
Nice.
that was to help me sleep. The pain isn't that bad, but oh man, I took when I first came home, my sister was nearby, and I took a Vicodin, and then I got up because I was like, well, I better go to the bathroom before I go to sleep or whatever, and then it was just it was the closest I've ever come to completely blacking out.
Wow.
It was terrifying. I was everything around me was closing in. I was stumbling and trying to grab onto everything, and then finally I finally just grabbed, I yelled, and my sister came in and she kind of guided me to my desk chair, and I was like, that was bad. That was really bad.
Oh, you're saying it was awesome.
It was so awesome. Kids, if you can go to No, but it was terrifying. So I was like, yeah, maybe I'll cool it on the Vicodin for a while.
Or just take a little bit and lay in bed.
Yeah, that's what I did last night, and that worked fine.
Right.
Because I don't, I've never used recreational drugs or anything like that, so this is I don't know. That was basically, oh, hey, you have no tolerance for this stuff.
Other than alcohol.
Right.
So to start, sorry to end that conversation.
No, that's fine.
Any more to say about the gallbladder?
No, I'll
Okay.
miss you, golly.
Gross. Don't name it. To start, we got a really good amount of feedback from our Pixar episode, so thank you guys, listeners, for that.
Yes.
And thanks, Rob, for being on. A lot of good things were said about Rob, and you guys said that he was
great.
insightful and interesting and funny, and we agreed, so hopefully we'll have him on again soon sometime.
Absolutely, that was awesome. I really enjoyed having him on, and I loved having us all in studio. That was just great, because, right now we're just over Skype right now, because, I mean, me and Tiny couldn't meet up, because, I'm, half dead, but no, it was good. It was really good. We actually got some really good feedback from Craig over at the Intermission podcast. He said that it was probably the best sound quality that we have, which I thought was really nice, because I was, really worried about the sound quality.
That's funny. Well, it makes sense, because you don't have one Skyper.
Yeah, that's true, but...
I'm sorry.
Yeah, Mike, that's true.
Just have to live down in Evansville.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
JK.
I kind of want to treat this as kind of just an extended potpourri section of an episode, if you guys don't mind.
Sure.
I like it.
But before we get started again, I kind of want to make an announcement for anyone listening who has a podcast. The Oscar nominations came out recently, and the Oscars are going to be airing on March 2nd. So so what we were thinking about doing is having an Oscar pool, a podcast Oscar pool, where if you have a podcast, you can submit one ballot of Oscar picks. You can contact me at ovpodcast@gmail.com, and I'll send you the ballot. It'll be a ranked system of the point system for the ballots. But if you have a podcast, each podcast can submit one single ballot. And then about a week or so before the Oscars, each podcast in the pool will submit a 3 to 5 minute audio clip of them discussing the nominees of a certain category that we give you guys to discuss. So that way, for our pre-Oscar episode, we'll have all of these other podcasts to cut into for the show for the nominees. So if you want to get at us on that, like us on Facebook, contact us on Twitter, also email us at ovpodcast@gmail.com. You'll find all that stuff at the end of the show too. But we're looking forward to doing it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, guys.
Totally.
Yeah, sounds good.
It'll be nice to kind of talk some smack to some other, have an actual competition going.
Yeah, it'll be nice.
Yeah.
It'll be nice, and I'll throw up some money so that there's some kind of incentive to actually join the pool. And then we'll also at the end of it, we'll have the winning Oscar, the winning podcast come on and be on the show and talk to us about their picks and what they thought about the Oscars and all that stuff.
Well, it's going to be us, so.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Of course.
Nice.
Guys, I'm a
So
big fan.
speaking of Oscars,
Yes.
I always hesitate to publish my top movies of blank year lists because I don't see everything, of course, in 2013, but I feel or in the year. I don't see everything in the year, but I always feel like if I publish it, if I send it out to the public, then that's it. It's set in stone. That is the list I made for that year at that time. So to amend my lists, I always hesitate. So there's always in in January of every year, I'll see a few movies that are just kind of lost in limbo because I don't include them on my best of list at the end of the year, but they didn't make the last year because I didn't see them in 2013 or the year prior, given whatever year I do it. Do you guys experience this at all, or do you amend your lists?
I don't really even do a top 10 list. I did this year for kind of just the purposes of the podcast and blog and all that. But I don't really do a top 10 list because I've never really published them before anywhere. Because I know you post Facebook notes and all that.
Yeah,
same here. Really, I don't usually do lists, so I'm not a big fan of that.
I gotcha. Yeah. Well, then if you don't mind, I'll make this quick.
Sure.
A couple of the movies that I've seen since I saw on January 2nd, The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. That was pretty good. Wouldn't have made my top 10.
Okay.
On the 9th of January, I saw The Wolf of Wall Street, and I have a feeling that might have made my top 10.
Nice.
I saw on the 16th Her,
Oh,
which
yes.
also might have made my top 10.
Yeah.
And then on the 21st, Inside Llewyn Davis absolutely would have made my top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Nice.
It was fantastic. I mean, it floored me. I'm a Coen Brothers fan as is, and man, I just love the mood of Llewyn Davis. It was just the music. Like the first time Llewyn Davis performs a song, I turned to my wife in the theater and I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna love this movie." I actually went home and like the next night, I recorded a version of one of the songs just for fun.
I saw that. I haven't gotten a chance to check it out, but if you want, we should throw it up on the Facebook page.
Sure, yeah,
Sweet.
that'd be fun.
Cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it seems like just from I haven't really looked at the movie that much, but it seems like it's very singer-songwriter type music, like
Oh yeah,
like a musician's kind of music, you know?
yes, totally.
Awesome.
Yep.
And I think that's one of a very underappreciated aspect of Coen Brothers movies is sometimes they have really good music. Not always. Like No Country for Old Men, there's basically no music in it at all.
Yeah.
But like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I mean, that has fantastic music in it. And you know the Coen Brothers just nail everything perfectly, in my opinion. I always hesitate to pick favorites when it comes to movies, like favorite movie, favorite directors, favorite actors. I hesitate to do that, but
Sure.
if I had to choose, for me, it would be the Coen Brothers as my favorite filmmakers, hands down.
Nice.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I don't talk about them a lot, but yeah, I think you know they just nail everything. They're just borderline perfect, in my opinion.
Yeah. And
So I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and while you might not like some of the music in some of their movies, I'd say there's something for every. There's a movie where the soundtrack is for them, for everybody. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I agree, they definitely are about their music in movies. Inside Llewyn Davis definitely spoke to me, music-wise.
Nice. Is it like a kind of folksy kind of thing, or is it a specific
Yeah,
genre?
it takes place in the early 1960s, 1961, just kind of when Bob Dylan broke, and just kind of that whole scene, Greenwich Village in New York, and all of that stuff.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. And so Llewyn Davis is basically this struggling musician. His partner actually died before the events of the movie, and so he's trying to make it as a solo folk artist. Interestingly enough, on the soundtrack, all of the songs that are by Oscar Isaac, the guy who plays Llewyn Davis, that are done from his past as a duo, his partner is played by Marcus Mumford from Mumford & Sons.
Oh, wow.
Awesome.
Yeah, now Marcus Mumford isn't in the movie, but I like the idea that were he in the movie or were there a flashback, it would be played by Marcus Mumford.
That's cool.
Yeah, so
Nice.
it was a great movie. Definitely would have been like 9 or 10 on my list if I could do it again, if I could revise it, but I won't.
Nice.
That's cool.
So no one gets like fed through a wood chip or anything?
No.
I almost watched Fargo today, but I didn't. So that's
Fargo's good.
It is very good. I watched In Bruges instead.
Okay.
Love that movie.
Yeah, Mike, are you not a huge fan?
In Bruges?
Yeah.
I've never seen it.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie.
Yeah, I've heard good things.
Yeah, it's really good. I hadn't seen it since the first time I saw it, and not to. I don't mean to change subject or anything.
No.
But
It's what it's about. It's
Yeah.
natural conversation.
yeah, no, it was the first time I'd seen it in a long time, and I liked it a lot. I remembered it being a little more funny. But I didn't. Maybe I just keyed into the more serious aspects of it this time around. But it's a great movie. Just right up until the end, the script is just really tight. And I love that. So it's a good one.
Cool. Yeah.
No.
It's on the list. It's on that 200 movie long list of movies I need to see.
Jeez.
Jeez.
Tiny, what do you think of In Bruges?
I actually called it one of my favorite comedies of the last decade.
Oh wow,
That's how much I loved In Bruges. Actually,
nice.
I think Colin Farrell's pretty underrated in his range. He has I would have never guessed him being so hilarious in a movie, but he was perfect in that movie, as well as Brendan Gleeson.
Oh yeah.
So it's a great movie. I love it.
Cool. Yeah, it's a great one. Yeah, it's a good one.
Can I add one more?
Yeah.
2013.
Oh, go nuts.
Anchorman 2 might have made my worst list.
Oh, God.
Oh, no. Because I know you wrote or are writing a review that you're going to post in the blog here soon.
It'll post tomorrow when this... I think I'm going to... It'll post soon. If it
will it post before this episode posts?
Probably not. It'll post the day after this episode drops.
Okay.
But yeah, I didn't... Yeah, I wouldn't call it the worst, though. I wouldn't call it on the worst list, though. I thought it was pretty good, but...
Oh, man.
Under a heavy shadow.
Yeah, if... it was just so awful. I don't want to steal your review. Like, I don't...
Oh, go right ahead. It's fine.
Like, if The Hangover 2 is the gold standard for stupid, unnecessary sequels, I feel like I like Hangover 2 better.
Oh, wow.
There are so many parts of Anchorman that Anchorman cringed. Literally every time Brick would speak, I would like cringe because I didn't want to hear the awful joke that he was about to use.
Wow.
There were some good Ron Burgundy lines, I thought. I really hated Champ Kyne's background story. Mm-hmm. That was pretty stupid. The whole thing with his boss, I thought was unnecessary. Linda Jackson, played by Megan Good, was pointless. It was incredibly, incredibly disappointing.
Yeah, I wouldn't... I don't know. It's funny because the movie was... I was really looking forward to it because, I mean, Anchorman 2, they brought everyone back. It seemed like it would be a good idea. Like enough time had passed, but man, I left the theater with Anchorman. I saw Anchorman like multiple times in the theater, the first one, and I left the theater thinking about it nonstop and quoting it nonstop. And it's the most quotable, one of the most quotable comedies of the last 10, 15 years.
I mean, in the last 10, 15 years, I'm going to call it the quote champ.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really, truly.
Yeah. So, leaving Anchorman 2, it was like, all right, that was a movie that I just watched.
Yeah.
Let me stall on getting the review written.
I mean, I smiled and chuckled a couple of times.
Yeah.
It wasn't the worst movie of the year, but I guess because of the shadow, it made it even worse.
Yeah, absolutely. And there was the story was just too loose with just, there wasn't a big unifying thread. I mean, there was the whole cable news, 24-hour cable news thing, but that wasn't the same as the women in the newsroom kind of thing.
And I really thought they had something with the satire aspect.
Yeah, totally.
That they would just kind of touch and then forget about, and then touch and then forget about. And so that was pretty disappointing.
Yeah, and they made a big deal about going into... This was my biggest complaint. I don't even think I put it in the review, but they made such a big deal about the news team. This isn't a spoiler or anything, but the news team going into fluff pieces. You know?
Yeah.
The big climax of the first Anchorman is them like a panda being born.
Yeah.
Like they're acting like it's like a groundbreaking thing for them, and that's what they did in the first one. I don't get it.
Yeah, and when they're joking about like we'll do pieces on animals, the first scene he's talking about a squirrel on skis, water skis. That joke was done in the first movie.
Yeah. Ugh.
There were 2 times I laughed loudly. The first one was when he was practicing, which of course was just a Austin Powers style rehash of the first movie.
Right.
But when he goes, they're coming in the back door! Save the children! When he's warming up.
Nice.
And then at the end, when Vince Vaughn takes his helmet off and he goes, oh man, what does he say? Like, Old MacDonald had a farm, and then 3 guys in motorcycles showed up.
You laughed at that?
Is that what he said? I thought that was so hilariously stupid.
Sure. I don't want to get into spoilers or anything. Tiny, have you seen it yet?
I haven't seen it yet.
Oh, okay. But the scene, the sequence. I'll speak vaguely about this, but the sequence that scene that you just described, Mike, that's at the end of. Mm-hmm. I don't want to give it away because it's kind of a big moment in the movie.
Mm-hmm. But also not a surprise.
Not a surprise at all, and that's the problem. Is that it's like they did what all sequels do. They were like, okay, this worked in the first one. Let's do it again, and let's do it bigger.
Yeah.
And that just did not sit well with me.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So it was,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So moving on, let's talk about 2014.
Yeah, Tiny. What about you? What do you got going on?
I've had a really good month this year as far as watching movies go.
Nice.
I'm trying to, after calculating all the movies I watched last year, it's always been a goal of mine to watch 365 movies in a year, and I'm trying to determine myself to do it this year. Like, I'm really going to try to do it this year.
Nice.
And I'm doing really great so far, which I always have good Januaries.
Right.
I'm at 40 movies so far.
Whoa, dude!
Yeah.
Good for you. That's awesome.
Wow, and this is the 28th day of the month.
Yep.
Holy crap!
I'm trying to build a head of steam. If you couldn't tell.
Jeez, I've got 15.
Oh,
wow. So yeah, I'm trying to build a head of steam, trying to get ahead while I know I have a lot of enthusiasm for it, and thankfully it hasn't cheapened the experience. Like, I'm not.
Nice.
It's not like it's not a chore. I'm not like, I need to watch a movie today. It's not like that at all.
Yeah.
Nice.
Of course, it could get like that in the future, but it's great so far. I've watched a lot of the Oscar nominees.
Nice.
One of the most of note, in my opinion, that I kind of wanted to bring up was the Butler. I refuse to call it Lee Daniels the Butler, because who the hell is Lee Daniels and who gives a I don't understand that. Yeah. Anyways, the problem I had with it, I'm going to feel racist saying this. It's like impossible not to, because the whole movie's like a borderline guilt trip. It's too much about race for me, because it's sort of about this main character he's like a borderline Uncle Tom almost. He's spent his entire life serving white people, essentially, and a lot of them were very prejudiced, racist white people. But he's kind of just distanced himself from it for his entire career, and he goes through his life serving the most powerful man in the world for decades and decades, and they were all white men. And it's an interesting idea for a movie. And so at the end, I was like, that was kind of interesting, but they could have toned it down a little bit. And then I go to find out it's not even a true story.
Oh, really?
No, it's
what?
It's compiled stories from different butlers over the span of the film, the time period they chose to focus on. It's a compilation of stories from different people.
Oh, wow.
So that it really, really kind of pissed me off after I read that. I was really disappointed in that.
That's crazy.
I don't know how.
It was.
I don't know. I don't know how I feel.
It was preachy to me, because it seems like the characters in the film, every facet of their life was influenced by the fact that they were black. Mm-hmm. And that's, what, I'm not a black guy, I'm not a minority, I don't know what it feels like to be a minority.
Right.
But I don't necessarily think it's like that. Obviously it was in the 1960s, mm-hmm. Maybe the 70s and such, but I mean, even up into the 80s and 90s, is every single part of your life influenced by the fact that you're a minority? I don't know if it is. Maybe it's just naivete on my part, mm-hmm. but it just seemed really preachy to me. And like this character, he at the end, he's all talking, reflecting on his life, just like you would expect. And I just had a problem with it. I don't know. I think it would have been a more interesting story if they would have switched up some of the influences, I guess. I don't know. It was it's definitely worth a watch, though. I mean, Forrest Whitaker and Oprah are both really good. I liked both of them a lot, and I liked the actors that got to play the different presidents were interesting. It's worth a watch, definitely. But
nice.
I don't know. I had a bit of a problem with it.
Yeah,
so.
That's interesting. Yeah. That's interesting though. And coming off of us talking about Fruitvale Station, you're not looking too good, Tiny.
No, not at all.
No, I'm kidding. That is a very tricky a really tricky thing to get around. I mean, you can't really say it without sounding that way, but I mean, it's not inherently racist or anything. I mean,
right? I know plenty of black people, and even black people who grew up during that time period who don't. It doesn't seem like they're like that. You know what I mean? It doesn't seem like they focus just on the fact that they're a black person or a minority. You know, it's you can just have a conversation with somebody. It doesn't have to get racial. I don't know. It's just
right.
I don't know. Maybe it's maybe it's just my naivete.
No.
On a relatively unrelated note, I also refuse to call it Lee Daniels the Butler. Mm-hmm. Kind of the same way I refuse to call Precious, based by the novel Push by Sapphire.
Yeah.
Precious, based on the novel Push by Sapphire.
Yeah, whatever.
Lee Daniels is Precious, based on the novel Push by Sapphire.
Sapphire's Precious, based on the novel Push by Sapphire, starring Gabourey Sidibe.
Oh wow! I've got it. Tyler Perry's Lee Daniels is The Butler, based on the novel Push by Sapphire, an M. Night Shyamalan film.
I was going to say a Marvel film, but that works too. Yeah. Like when the Avengers Blu-ray came out, it was like Marvel's The Avengers by Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I think it was Marvel Presents Marvel's The Avengers.
Yeah.
It said something like Marvel's The Avengers Marvel. And then there might have been Marvel at another point, but yeah, it was. Yeah. Anyways. It's weird. It's branding, I guess.
Yeah.
So you're listening
you can't blame them, but it's funny to laugh about.
Right, yeah. And you're listening to ObsessiveViewer.com's The Obsessive Viewer.
By the Obsessive Viewer himself.
By the Obsessive Viewer.
Yeah. And so, Mike, you liked American Hustle, kind of?
It was okay. I didn't get it.
Okay.
I don't get the hype. And I actually read an article today. I don't have it pulled up. You kind of sprung it on me, but I read it off of Yahoo, just about how it's like there's this whole group of people that didn't like American Hustle who are kind of in the closet about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the article was about it's okay to come out and admit that you didn't like American Hustle.
That's awesome.
And so I'm like shouting it loud and proud. I didn't like American Hustle. I didn't like it.
Me too. Seriously, I'm glad that you brought that up because I didn't like it, and I've actually said it a little bit. I haven't been a dick about it, but I am shocked that it's nominated for 10 Oscars. That boggles my mind. I don't know how, especially the screenplay. That is absolutely does not make any sense because I read it was either an article where they interviewed one of the actors or it was from the IMDb trivia. It said it was a quote where one of the actors was like, "Hey, I don't know if this is really going to make sense for the script if we take the character in this direction, if we improvise this way." And then David O. Russell said, "All I care about is the characters, man. So just improvise it. The script doesn't matter." I was like, "What?"
Yep.
You could totally tell that was their attitude on the film. It was too improvised. It drove me nuts.
I'm trying to think of who I said this to, but I said a lot of the same.
Really?
I feel like I might have said it on the podcast, but I was like, it felt like the work of a director who doesn't know how to rein in his actors.
There you go.
Right.
Perfect.
But I'm sorry, you were saying something. Go ahead.
I thought Bradley Cooper was over the top. You know, I think
especially,
yeah. I mean, Christian Bale was fantastic. Amy Adams was really good. I thought there were plenty of parts in the movie that were actually really funny. Amy Adams, her character pretends to be British to con people, and she uses a British accent that to an American audience is pretty passable. But like if she went to London and tried to use that accent, they would be like, "What are you doing? Why are you using that horrible fake accent?"
Yeah.
And it's so many people buy it. It's so funny in the movie. I like that part of it, but it's just those two performances were good, but then like Jennifer Lawrence, I don't really. I mean, she was fine. She wasn't bad. It's just I think the improvisation just was a crutch for, or was a downfall for her. I don't think it worked for her. And then Bradley Cooper was just he was too crazy. Like, he was like. I actually compare him to Michael Scott from The Office, which I know is a weird comparison.
Okay.
The reason I do it is because Michael Scott would have been in real life. Michael Scott would have been fired after the first episode and been unemployed because he was so ridiculous. And Bradley Cooper's character was the same way. He was just he made the most crazy, ridiculous decisions. He confronted his boss way too harshly. The dude would have gotten fired so quickly, and he was just. I could not get behind that performance. I just didn't. It just wasn't that great of a movie. I don't get why it's nominated for 10 Oscars.
I agree with you fully.
Nice.
The soundtrack was the best part.
Yeah, it was.
The soundtrack was fantastic. I mean, Dirty Work, Steely Dan, Long Black Road, Yellow. There's the Wings' most popular song was in there, Live and Let Die.
Yeah.
I left it and I was like, oh man, I got to put this soundtrack together and listen to it.
Nice. Live and Let Die, the Bond song. I like that.
What's that?
Sorry. Live and Let Die, the Bond song.
Yeah.
Yep. Sweet. I love that. That's one of my favorites.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, the performances were good for the most part, with the exception of Bradley Cooper. I think they deserve their nominations, but I've never been very much of a David O. Russell fan. I thought The Fighter was hugely overrated. Some of his older movies were sort of okay for a beginning director, like Three Kings was a solid movie. And his best work, in my opinion, is Silver Linings Playbook. That is one of the best movies of the year that year. I wanted it to win the Oscar. I love that movie.
I did too.
And I think the erratic performances in that movie were perfect for that movie.
Yeah.
But they sort of carried over into this American Hustle movie, and it just didn't make sense. It didn't fit, and it was part of the movie's downfall. So
I'll have to check it out because I haven't seen it yet. But I mean, I've heard mixed things. Like, and this is the worst I've heard of it. But I heard that also about the improvisation and stuff, and it has me a little intrigued to see it actually. But I'm assuming that I'll just be mad that it's been nominated and so well received. Do you guys think that that's indicative of like the Academy just basically saying like, oh, this filmmaker did this thing and he did really well that time, why don't we go ahead and show him some love this time around, like that kind of thing? It's
collusion.
Yeah,
it's Hollywood collusion. It's like, well, we really, really like this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
like like a couple years ago when Sandra Bullock won the Oscar.
Yeah.
She was good. She deserved the nomination, but she won because everybody loves her. That's why she won, in my opinion.
Yeah, she won because everybody liked her, even though she was in the great movie of a rich white woman's struggle to raise a black man.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have all kinds of complaints about that movie. But
me too.
Me too.
That movie, when I was watching it, I was like, this movie's called, Hey, White People Are Great.
Yeah.
Like that's the name of the movie for me.
Yeah.
That's become, the Oscars have become progressively less and less about merit. It's become about status.
Yeah.
Where you stand. I think when I first started really paying attention to the Oscars, I think it was 2005 when Crash won the Oscar over Brokeback Mountain.
You watched that at my house.
I did. We watched that together, and I was just like, "What? Is this normal? Does this happen?" And that's how the Oscars are now, and it's sad. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a shame.
But that happens. That happens often. I mean, that happened even before that. Like one of the biggest controversies ever was when Shakespeare in Love beat Saving Private Ryan.
Right.
Yeah.
But I specifically remember that year where Crash beat, which I love. I love Crash, but it's not Brokeback Mountain.
Oh no!
And I think I've said it on this podcast before. If I counted my top 3 movies of the 2000s, that would be one of them.
Nice,
along with Dark Knight, and I think I said The Departed.
Yeah,
awesome.
Which The Departed, that also gave Martin Scorsese his first Oscar, right?
Yes,
right.
Which that's insane. Because, I mean, the guys...
Yeah. Goodfellas.
Yeah.
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 Ugh.
Agreed.
So basically, here's our Academy Award bashing episode.
But
Stay tuned in 3 weeks for when we do our Academy Award nominations episode.
But please, if you have a podcast, join our pool.
Yeah.
Because that's the only way that I can enjoy the Oscars is if I have a chance to make money off of it.
Well, there's that for me. I love the competition aspect of it. But really, I do... There's some validation in when a movie that you love wins. There's something exciting about that for me.
Yeah.
And I know it's so much of it is collusion and politics, and I disagree with so much of the way it works. I really hate the expanded Best Picture category. I think that's stupid.
Yeah.
But what are you going to do? It's fun. It's fun just to watch. I started truly hating it in 2008 when The Dark Knight didn't get nominated, and Slumdog Millionaire just came out of nowhere.
Well, I love Slumdog Millionaire.
Yeah, but you're a Danny Boyle.
That's true. I'm a fanboy. That movie's all right. Are you saying Slumdog's better than The Dark Knight? Well,
which movie has a more lasting impact?
I'll say this: that they're vastly different movies. Vastly different.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
I'm not going to say that it's empirically better than either one's empirically better than the other one, but for what the Oscars are, that pomp and just really just kind of head up your ass kind of thing, it fit for that. And I'm not justifying them for slighting Christopher Nolan or The Dark Knight or anything like that. I'm just saying that it makes sense for the Academy Awards that they would go with Slumdog Millionaire, a movie that's very safe instead of what they perceive as, this comic book movie that little kids are going to see.
Well, yeah, I agree. I mean, The Dark Knight, of course, as a nerd and as somebody who loved that movie, and there's a lot of people like me who think that it got robbed.
Right.
I'm going to say that there are other movies that I think they could have gone with that still fit that mold. I mean, I know you're referring to certain movies that want, like how Crash was a safer bet.
Yeah.
But No Country for Old Men, that is not really an Oscar type of movie. $1 Million Baby is very grim. And Lord of the Rings is also a big fantasy movie. So they are known to go against what you would expect. I think more than anything, like I couldn't help watching Slumdog Millionaire without thinking, oh, this is that damn movie that made it so The Dark Knight didn't get nominated.
Yeah. And it's... go ahead, sorry.
Slumdog Millionaire shouldn't have been as good as it was. I'll put it that way.
Right.
Danny Boyle being attached to it is the greatest thing that ever happened to that movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
It should have been a par mediocre kind of movie, but Danny Boyle is, I call him the Swiss Army knife of directors. He is
absolutely
the most reinventive, brilliant filmmaker, one of them that's working today. And so I think he just hit it out of the park. That's the only reason why that movie is so great.
And any other director, I mean, Danny Boyle just has a way of getting these incredible performances out of his actors, and that's a movie that needed that because it's a lot of child actors and a lot of unknowns and stuff like that, and that really came into play a lot in that movie.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at 2008, the Best Picture nominees, and it's such a shrug-worthy category that year.
Really?
Here we go. Slumdog Millionaire, the winner. Curious Case of Benjamin Button, which was a turd.
Yeah.
Frost Nixon, which was okay.
I actually really liked Frost Nixon.
You did? Was it better than Slumdog or no?
No. Okay. But I really liked it.
I thought it was okay.
Okay. Milk, which I loved.
Still haven't seen it.
And then The Reader, which I never saw.
The Reader was really good.
Oh, The Reader is that
Kate Winslet.
Kate Winslet, the Nazi thing. Yeah, I was. Yeah. Am I thinking of something else, or was Philip Seymour Hoffman in that?
I don't think he wasn't.
No. Okay.
Reader was really good.
Okay, yeah. The Reader is where she falls in love with a kid or something.
A kid falls in love with a girl who was a guard at a concentration camp.
That's right. Yeah, I don't really remember being that.
And she was kind of a simpleton. She was illiterate, so he would read to her because she couldn't read.
Oh yeah.
And so it was an interesting look at the whole, I say this in quotations, controversy of the whole I was just following orders argument of World War II.
Okay.
Because she was so simple-minded, she didn't understand the depth of that concept. It was an interesting movie for that reason.
Okay.
In my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah.
Little tangent there.
So, 2008, weird year.
Right.
Yeah.
Weird year. But then you get years like 2011 where The Artist won.
I still haven't even seen The Artist.
That was a bad year.
Mm-hmm. It's good. But man, there were like The Descendants came out that year. I think The Descendants was my favorite. And then Moneyball was fantastic.
Moneyball's good.
Yeah. I agree.
Speaking of Moneyball, how much do you guys want Jonah Hill to win an Oscar?
I do so much.
Me too. It's so awesome that he's been nominated again. I was thinking about that the other day. That it's so cool that he can have this. His career is just really impressive.
Yeah.
He's playing this duality to his career that's just really, really impressive. The way he's juggling it.
Yeah. In that category, I haven't seen all the nominees. I've seen all except Jared Leto in Dallas Buyers Club, and so right now Jonah Hill's my favorite because I actually read the book Wolf of Wall Street.
Oh, nice.
And he hit that character out of the park.
Really?
He was perfect in that role. Absolutely perfect.
It's a really tight race, and it's looking at it, it's probably my favorite race. If I were in charge, I wouldn't give it to Jonah Hill because as much as I love him and just, coming from someone who loves comedy and knowing where he came from, and I'd love to see him win, but Jared Leto is the favorite, and I think Michael Fassbender is my favorite.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
Between those three, I would say you can't go wrong. Yeah. I'm not going to be disappointed if any of those three win. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
And then the other one is Barkhad Abdi from Captain Phillips,
who totally deserves a nomination. In my opinion.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Bradley Cooper is out of his league.
Yeah.
He doesn't belong there.
Nice.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
You've seen Captain Phillips then, Mike?
I've seen them all. Yeah. Actually, looking at this,
nice.
I did see Captain Phillips. Yep.
Yeah, I think my favorite part of that movie was the perspective of it because it presented both sides of the conflict. So normally in that movie it would just be you would have almost zero development of the villain, if you will, or the antagonist, but they showed it from both points. They showed his side of the story, and it was so perfect for garnering sympathy for the character, for the villains of the movie, and it was so well done. I credit that movie a lot for that.
Yeah. You made the remark to me that it was kind of similar to kind of the opposite reaction that you had when you watched Fruitvale Station, which we talked about before.
Yeah, I was going to say, it sounds like an opposite of your critique of that.
Yeah, it is.
It's nice to see that. It's nice to see them give that kind of screen time to both sides on something that's so easily one-sided.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
But Jared Leto was great, by the way.
Yeah,
I recommend Dallas Buyers Club. He's fantastic.
I'm definitely gonna watch it before the Oscars.
Oh, me too. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna see a bunch of them. Gonna go to the Keystone Arts Theater. Definitely.
Nice.
Nebraska came and went. In Evansville? Which I'm bummed about.
I saw it playing somewhere, and I like that. Oh wow. Will Forte is in it.
Yeah.
Which I wouldn't expect him to be in a movie nominated for that.
Yeah.
But it's it's cool to think that, but I mean it kind of came out of nowhere. That's like this year's Amore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know much about it either.
Yeah.
So good talk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
we're also kind of like stealing some conversation from a couple weeks from now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we should.
Episode.
Since I've been out with my gallbladder and all that, I've just been watching a bunch of stuff, pretty much. So I just wanted to run through and talk about some of the stuff I've been watching. I I watched on Netflix. I watched Jack Reacher, which I know Tiny was a big fan of.
Mm-hmm.
I liked it a lot. I thought Tom Cruise was really good. I'm kind of a little burnt out on the whole, oh, this guy is super good at what he does and he's going to go do it super well. Let's watch him kind of thing, you know?
Good point.
And that actually kind of made me a little excited for Jack Ryan's Shadow Recruit, which I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's supposed to be set when like Jack Ryan was starting out.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then again, it's also...
I can't get excited about that movie at all.
It's literally the only reason why I got excited for it. And then I thought about doing like a double feature of Jack Ryan, or not Jack Ryan, but Jack Reacher and Alex Cross, but who wants to watch Alex Cross?
Oh, please don't.
Yeah. No. Then after Jack Reacher, I keep wanting to say Jack Ryan, I watched Fun Size. Have either of you guys watched Fun Size?
No.
Never ever changed
Halloween
that.
time. It straight to DVD, or maybe not straight to DVD.
It was in theaters for a little bit, just kind of hidden away.
Did it video on demand at the same time?
Maybe.
It was something like that, where it was like all over the websites I frequent.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I won't be watching that.
Yeah, never ever change the fact that you've never watched it. It's so bad. It'll probably be in my top 10 of the top 10 worst of the year.
Yeah.
Probably. It's like it's a Nickelodeon movie, which whatever. I didn't expect that going in, but I started watching it, and it's like it's just awful. It's like the character interactions are just not. It makes no sense. Like there's a nerdy kid who is going out dressed as Aaron Burr. So he has like a little musket thing, like a gun. And so they're getting bullied, or they're getting chased by some guy, and he's like, he pulls the gun on him, and he's like, it's a big crowd of people, and he's like, don't worry, it's not a real gun, and he shoots it, and he shoots chicken out of the guy's hand, and then the guy runs away. Like, the guy hears police sirens and then runs away. The guy who just got shot at. He's not, like, that makes no sense. Like, why, you just got shot at. Stay and wait for the police and have them come and make a report and press charges against them, because that's negligence or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other things like the whole movie's about this girl who her little brother is lost or gets away from her as she's taking him trick-or-treating. He's like this little 8-year-old boy, and then he wanders off to this convenience store, and there's a whole subplot where he meets this like 25-year-old kind of weird guy who works at the convenience store. So the guy realizes that he's alone, and then he's like, oh, I'll just take you with me to go to my ex-girlfriend's house to TP her house and stuff. That's not creepy at all, to take an 8-year-old on Halloween night who's just stranded by himself to vandalize someone's house. Everything about it just, I hated it so much.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I also watched 127 Hours, which we already talked about, Danny Boyle and all that, but I love that movie, and I was like, you know what? Having my gallbladder taken out under anesthesia, I feel exactly what Aaron Ralston went through.
Yeah, that's similar.
It is.
That's the same thing.
Exactly.
That's the same thing.
I don't know why he was such a bitch about it. I am sorry. I actually really respect him. I love that movie, and I read the book and all that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I watched a couple documentaries. Before that, I want to go to Passenger 57.
Wow.
I watched it totally on a whim. It's one of the most 90s movies I've ever seen. It's so forgettable.
Yeah.
It's so bad.
Is that Wesley Snipes?
Yeah, Wesley Snipes, always bet on black. That's one of the lines. I'm not being racist.
Oh my god.
Literally, that's one of the lines. Yeah, it's such a bad movie. But then the kind of the pièce de résistance, I guess, of this is I watched two documentaries. One is Mea Maxima Culpa, Silence in the House of God.
Uh-huh.
And if you're a longtime listener of the podcast, and if you know me or anything, and you know I am an atheist, and so Mea Maxima Culpa is basically about it's a documentary about the Catholic Church and how the Catholic Church has covered up priests who molest children in the church.
So it's a feel-good movie.
It's
Hey,
it's such a hard watch. They focus on a school for the deaf primarily, and throughout the whole documentary, and about this one priest in particular who molested all of these deaf children, and it's so heartbreaking because one of the deaf guys, they interview him and everything, and he wrote a letter to the Vatican, and it's just they show parts of the letter, and it's just heart-wrenching because he's at this school away from home. His only family is his mother, and she's away, and the priest who's molesting everyone, he's like the only person at the school who can both speak and sign.
Yeah.
So it's like there's the thing where it's like, you told me that my mother hated me, and that no one loved me, and that I was trash or something like that. And he's like, you were the only person I could communicate with, and I hate you for isolating me from the one person who I could love, which was his mother. And it's such a heart-wrenching thing. And then they go into more detail about some of the other things, and about the Catholic Church in general, and how they cover up hundreds and hundreds of cases of these horrible acts, and it's really despicable, and it's so sickening, and
they make no effort to stop it either.
None. Like they in Tiny, like, correct me if I'm getting this wrong, but the previous Pope Benedict, who resigned last year, before he was Pope, at one point he had a job where he was the Cardinal of Germany. Yeah, and he requested, or he had every instance of pedophilia that was reported within the Catholic Church sent to his desk. So hundreds of cases, not a single one of them was addressed or anything. And he sealed the files as well, so they can't be. They're sealed under international law of it can't be investigated because it's part of like the Vatican archives, and so they have complete control over that, and they don't have to open those records to any kind of investigative body. Yeah, it's so horrifying, and they go into some of the more sickening aspects of it. Is that they also had this guy who was hired to kind of go all around the world or wherever, to kind of quietly get these people who are making these claims or coming out about the molestation, to kind of give them a cash settlement and a non-disclosure agreement so they won't say anything to hurt the church. And it's just so heartbreaking. And then there was something else I was going to bring up about that, but I just forgot about it. Oh, they go into kind of some of the more... They kind of go into some of the demented rationale that some of the priests say. Like the main priest at the deaf school, like they talk about how he had how he met with a psychologist, and they were like, he was like, there was rampant homosexuality in that school. I would just go and I would do my thing as they were sleeping so that they wouldn't have those urges anymore. And it's like, yeah, it's like that sickness in the brain to actually try to justify that action is just, it's despicable. Like it's so horrifying. And then they even talk about how some priests have said that, like, their rationale or their justification is, well, they're boys. They'll forget about it. They'll heal from it. Yeah, it's like, geez. And it makes me sick to my stomach to even think about it. Yeah.
And it was made. I watched the documentary when it aired on HBO. That's when I watched it about a year ago. Yeah. And I went to Catholic school for a long time, and there was no reports of anything like that at the school that I went to, but right. I understand how, even though, like, the school that I went to, it was very small, and there was only, I think there's only like maybe 200 kids in the whole school, and there's a principal of the school, but the head priest, our head priest was just called Father. He was just the head priest. Some parishes call them monsignors. It just depends on. It's weird. I don't know. It's part of the old, ridiculous, outdated, archaic stuff that the Catholic Church does. But anyways, that priest has so much say over what that school does, even though he's not the principal. It's just, I just remember being like, well, Father Mike wants us to do this, so we would do that. And of course, when you're 8 years old, you don't question it because you don't know any better. But as an adult, when I think about it now, it bothers me so much because it's just, it has nothing to do with education. It's all about doctrine. And it's not healthy for an education environment. And so in the movie, one of the most egregious things was that it was a deaf school, and obviously when a pedophile molests children, it's a lot of it's about power, and it's incredibly exploitative. They're exploiting the fact that children don't question adults, and that adults have this power over kids. But it was especially bad because he was exploiting their disability. Yeah. Which he was using their disabilities against them and corrupting them even further because of their disabilities. And unless I'm mistaken, I think it was like a K through 12 school, and I think even some of the older boys would molest some of the younger boys. He would tell them to do it. I think.
He had basically been molesting children all throughout his time there. And
it was decades.
Yeah, decades. And once they grew up and became older boys, he basically had them molest the younger boys for him. It was this really, really just disgusting hierarchy of that, and it was. Mm-hmm. I hated it. It's a really eye-opening documentary about because there's a lot of reports about it and everything, but you don't really know how widespread and how just widespread and uncombated it is, and
how corrupt it is.
How corrupt, and it's like they show this really sad video clip of the adults of the deaf kids as adults. They go to confront the priest at the cottage where he would take them for the summer or something, and take some of the boys for the summer, and then he would ask the boys to pick one of the boys to sleep in bed with him, and he would molest them. So then as adults, they go and confront him, and they're like, you're going to go to prison right now. You're going to go to the jail, and we're going to go to the police station. You're going to confess. And he's like, no, that was a long time ago. Just let me live in peace. And then I think it's like his someone's there with him. It's like his wife or his caregiver or something, because he's old and failing in health. She's like just yelling at them, saying like, "Are you Catholic? Why don't you just go and forgive? Just forgive him. Let him live in peace." And they're like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh man." They're like, "Do you understand what we're saying? Do you understand like what we're talking about?" And it's just this kind of, I'll go on a tirade if I keep going, but it's really disgusting and really something that people should really, really watch. Just to see just how despicable it is. Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah, and then the other documentary I watched was The House I Live In. It's on Netflix right now. It's all about the war on drugs. Yeah, it's really good. It's featured heavily is David Simon, who created The Wire. Oh. And he basically goes through, and he and the director and producer of the documentary, they basically outline why the war on drugs is failing and has failed from the beginning, and how it's basically just really lopsided, and how it's just like they go into like mandatory minimums and things like that, and how it's just why it's failed on every facet. And it's a really fascinating documentary, and then they make some interesting analogies to how it's kind of the same as David Simon called the war on drugs and the drug hold on Americans as a slow moving holocaust. And
wow.
It's really, I won't get into much detail about it, but check it out. The house I live in, the way that they reached that point is just it's really interesting, and it's really I haven't seen the war on drugs depicted or shown that well since The Wire, actually.
Wow.
So definitely check that out if you're into that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Does it mention the war on ending sentences with prepositions?
Oh, that reminds me of House of Cards. Something that.
We gotta say it.
There's a joke on House of Cards. It's really crass. On House of Cards, there's an old joke that the president of the Washington Herald in the show says to like her employee or whatever. It's the joke is two college girls move into a dorm for the first time. One's like this really southern country girl who's really like devoted to like religion and all that, and then another one's kind of this yuppie like northern girl or something like that.
So it's kind of like us our freshman year.
Pretty much, yeah. So the country girl asked the other girl like, "Hey, where are y'all from?" And then the like prissy girl is like, "We're from a place where we don't end sentences with prepositions." Is that right? Yeah. And then the girl's like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Where are y'all from?"
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. So anyway, well, that's all good and fine. Let's talk about TV.
Yeah.
Sweet.
My wife and I, we've caught up on so many of our shows that we're kind of struggling to find something new to watch. We made it through American Horror Story, and so now we're kind of at a loss. You guys have any recommendations?
True
Michael.
Detective.
True Detective.
Detective. I'm actually incredibly interested in that.
Dude,
Although,
watch it.
I may have this wrong, but I think I remember Matt telling me at one point that you're not real big on like cop shows. Really?
I don't know if that's necessarily true.
Okay.
Well,
I guess not. I guess not.
More like cop
procedurals.
Yeah.
No.
Okay, it's not a procedural.
It's not. It's a serialized drama. You'll love it, dude. It's
okay.
It even has some like light horror elements, I would say.
Oh, definitely.
Oh, now you're talking.
Yeah, it's Matthew McConaughey, Woody Harrelson. It's
Can't
phenomenal.
lose.
Yeah.
It's,
All right.
I've seen 2 episodes so far. I haven't watched the most recent one.
Oh, wow.
But because my freaking on demand wasn't working today, it drove me nuts. So I've only seen 2 episodes, and I think I can already say, this is bold, but I think I can already say it's Matthew McConaughey's best work ever.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how good I think it is.
Did you see the movie Mud?
I haven't watched that yet, no.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
yeah.
it's the best thing you've seen him in.
There you go.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's and actually I don't even think the performances are the best part. I think it's the writing.
Oh, absolutely.
It's the best writing I've seen probably since The Wire.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's incredible.
It's well, I won't give away anything for you, Mike, but it's just basically that first episode it's one of the best first episodes I've seen of anything in a while.
Really?
Yeah, just the way that they set up kind of not necessarily the concept of the show, but the way that they set everything up. It's like, okay, I'm committed. Give me the other 7 episodes that are going to air right now. It's
Cool.
like that kind of thing.
Is that what it is? 8 episodes?
Yeah, it's 8 episodes, and the creator, Nick Palozzo or whatever, he used to be a writer for The Killing on AMC.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, and so they've already HBO hasn't renewed the show yet because
It's anthology style, is it not?
That's what they're going for, I think. They're going to do, I think for season 2 they'll probably do, or hopefully they'll do, more like another set of detectives or something, another case, kind of just completely free from Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson, which I think could be perfect. It could be amazing.
Me too.
Sure.
One of the things that I'm liking about it is that it tells its main story in flashbacks. I'll say that to the 90s, and they're tracking this killer in the 90s. And there's some cool. It's kind of in Louisiana, kind of in the bayou, I would say, I guess. And they make reference to Hurricane Andrew, which I probably said on the show before, but I was actually like in Florida when that happened. So it's kind of nice to see that and see how that kind of see that depicted on screen as like the fallout of that, because I know that there was a ton of just destruction from that. So it's kind of nice to see that as a backdrop, I guess. And then just like Tiny said, the performances are fantastic. The writing is just incredible. There's some really incredible, and Tiny, you'll see this in the third episode too, because I watched the third episode today. There's some really incredible and like haunting monologues.
Yeah.
That's just it's just really, really great. It's I'm so glad that HBO got it because
me too.
Yeah, apparently it was under a bidding war with FX, and it. Oh,
you're glad they can show boobs?
Not so, well. There is a very yeah.
I'm more happy with they're able to fully depict the gruesome aspect of the murders.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool. FX can get away with a lot of violence and like gore, but it's just not as well done as what they can do on HBO, and it's just perfect for HBO.
Yeah,
sure.
It's great.
All right.
So definitely check that out. And like
Speaking
I said, sorry,
that's okay.
I was just gonna say that they haven't renewed the show yet, but they did ink the writer or the creator in for a 2-year overall deal with HBO.
Cool.
So I mean, a renewal is it's seconds away probably.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Tiny, you mentioned your DVR not recording for whatever reason. Yesterday, we were trying to watch the 200th episode of How I Met Your Mother, which we can talk about in a second if you guys want.
Absolutely.
And our DVR or our TV, our cable box, the volume stopped working.
Huh.
Oh. It was just like a click, click, and then the sound stopped working.
Oh.
And we had built up about 15 minutes of the show. I like to kind of wait 15 minutes before I watch the show.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So we can fast forward through the commercials. And so about halfway through, I turned it on, and our TV just went pop, pop, and for whatever reason, the sound cut out. But it's not our TV because we were able to keep watching on the PlayStation.
Oh, nice.
But so I was able to find the show through other means, but yeah, so I'm kind of pissed about having to figure out what's wrong with the volume on my TV. But anyway, have you guys all seen the 200th episode?
Yes.
I loved it so much.
Same here.
So good.
It's been the first half of this season was pretty weak.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody would agree with that.
A lot of filler.
Lot of filler. I mean, the whole season feels like a filler, to be honest. But yeah, it was really fantastic.
Yeah,
a gem of an episode.
It hit all the right parts, all the right spots with me. Yeah, it was just, and also they still haven't said her name.
Yeah, I wonder if they ever will.
They will. I'm positive they will in the finale.
You think so?
Yeah, I think.
Here's what I'm wondering.
Oh, go ahead.
This is my question. There is no doubt in my mind, and Craig Thomas and Carter Bays have confirmed this absolutely, that they will not meet. Ted will not meet her until the last episode. That right. I get, that I'm fine. I wouldn't want it any other way. Mm-hmm. My question is, will he meet her at the beginning of the episode and then things will happen? Or do you think the show will end with him saying like, "Hi, I'm Ted," and then that's it?
I think we'll get a scene with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
It'll kind of, and I think they've already shown a little bit of like kind of future scenes with them where they're already together and married and stuff. And I think the very last scene of the show will be the seed for all of that. It will plant a seed for the beginning of their relationship, and you can just tell that they're going to make it after that after that little like maybe 2-3 minute scene. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I really think the ending will be them meeting each other, because the way that the style is, I mean, the entire final episode could be about them, could be about their relationship. Like that could be the finale, if that, or whatever, a big chunk of the finale, and then it could still end with them meeting, because I mean that's just the way that the structure of the show is.
Right. Will it end with the kids? Will they be in the last scene?
Yeah,
I don't know.
They will.
Okay,
because we know they filmed something for it.
Yeah, they filmed when they first started. It was
the second season.
Yeah, they actually filmed a bunch of stuff with them and reaction. They actually filmed like the official reaction. So I think it might be, maybe it'll end with them, or maybe what I kind of hope for is, Mike, did you ever watch Scrubs?
Vaguely.
Okay, well, at the end of Scrubs, and Tiny, I know that you've seen this. At the end of Scrubs, like the end of Scrubs, there's no 9th season.
Agreed.
The end of the series was basically JD standing in front of this drape thing, and he's having this fantasy because he has just the whole show's cutaways of fantasies with him. But like his final fantasy, his last fantasy of the series is basically his vision of the future, of where he's going to end up and all that stuff. And I think that's just a really touching kind of way to end the show. So I think it'd be cool to see kind of a montage of their relationship and like the finer points of their relationship and why they work together so well in How I Met Your Mother. Which we saw like why they
We're getting a lot of that stuff.
We are, yeah. Like this episode was just so perfect for that. And I love the character stuff with her. The whole her boyfriend or whatever dying. That was really like that scene where she's asking him if she can move on and stuff, like she's looking up at the sky. Dude. And that, it killed me. And then the fact that they were playing the music that they played at the end of the Time Travelers episode.
Yep.
That just tore me apart. And I was like, this is why I love this show. This is fantastic. Why
such a beautiful performance that you would not necessarily expect to get in a sitcom.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And that's always kind of been my favorite parts of the show. As much as some of the like legendary, pun intended, funny parts of the show have been, like my favorite moment of all time is probably Marshall reacting to finding out his dad died.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Those are like the best parts of the show, I think.
Yeah.
And they always handle those moments with grace. And just like pure entertainment value. It's always great.
Yeah. I remember before the season started, Carter Bays and Craig Thomas, they said, I think they were talking about this 200th episode actually. They were saying that what we're going to show you guys is that How I Met Your Mother has been a drama this entire time, just in a sitcom disguise. And that's exactly what they proved. It was just really well done.
Yep. If I had one complaint about the mother, it's that sometimes she and Ted have too much in common.
Yeah.
True. Like the little things they have in common, it's kind of like, okay, that's cute, but not everything has to be the same.
Yeah.
Two people finding each other that both happen to be into calligraphy.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. No way. But the final scene of the episode, not the after credit scene, which usually the after credit scene basically just influences the next episode for the most part. So I don't really count that as the last scene. But the actual last scene before the credits, where the mother is playing that just such a beautiful song on the ukulele. And Ted is just sitting there watching or just listening. The way they shot it and everything, it was just so. I keep saying the word beautiful, but it was really beautiful. Like I can't believe Ted didn't just hop over that wall and just want to meet that girl right there, because that was just. I just loved that so much.
That's one of the complaints I've read about the episode. It didn't bother me so much, but Ted's the kind of guy to jump over there and say something.
It didn't bother me. It didn't bother me. I don't know. I was just like,
no, I know.
How did you do that?
And it didn't bother me either.
Me neither.
Okay.
But that is one of the complaints I've read, and I kind of see where people are coming from.
Yeah.
To address those disagreements or whatever, those problems that I have, he's in the middle of dealing with Barney and Robin's wedding. He's in a different place. Yeah, he's not the like, oh, let's go find love, Ted. He's the, oh, my love is leaving, Ted.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
By the way, was there a tag? Because it cut off before.
I don't think there was.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So yeah, that was a good episode. What other TV shows are you guys watching?
How about the fact that Community is freaking back?
Yes.
It is.
Oh, I love it so much.
I meant to rewatch Troy's the Bon Troyage episode. But man,
you mentioned to me, I can't remember if it was on the podcast or you just said it in person, that the first episode was not the return that you hoped for, the return to form that you hoped for, and I agreed fully. Mm-hmm. But the last episode that had to do with Pierce's death was.
Yeah.
They built to it.
Yep.
Yeah, it was really good. And I'm glad it's back. I still wish it would have had a full it has a full season, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah. And I'm confident it's still going to be executed well, and I think it's going to be funny. But I'm really disappointed with the departure of Troy. I mean, that's so obvious. Of course, I am. Everybody is. But
I'm curious how they're going to handle it.
Yeah, me too.
I don't know about you guys, but I totally broke down when they were all saying goodbye to Troy. I totally lost it.
It was sad.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't break down because I'm a man, but I'm kidding.
Well, it's because of all the Vicodin.
Yeah,
Are you sure they didn't remove your heart?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying that as a guy who just bawled at How I Met Your Mother, so...
Yeah. I loved so much about that last episut. I loved the real growth of Britta.
Yeah.
You know, and I love that she kind of put her A-type personality aside and kind of realized that she needed to pretend a little bit for the sake of Abed, and she did some real psychology work for a change.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that was kind of cool. Clearly, it was a great episode for Troy and Donald Glover, but I also loved Abed kind of getting a peek. We kind of got a peek behind the curtain there when he said that it's real lava for him, and he can't help that he's crazy, but he doesn't want people to know he's crazy.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Incredible writing.
Yep.
Yeah, I loved Britta too, because so often with her, amateur psychology stuff, she's reaching so far in her theories, but with this one, she was absolutely right in that they weren't dealing with their loss, their separation. She just had to alter her methods, like you said. Like, she just had to go about it a little bit differently, and it was incredibly satisfying to see.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah,
nice.
Agree.
Yeah, I loved it. Yeah. I've been. Do you mind if I switch subjects real quick?
Sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Is it TV?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I've been slowly rewatching House of Cards in preparation for the second season coming out that's a couple weeks from now. Oh man. Because I've been rewatching the series, or rewatching the first season. It's a Netflix original show. Obviously, you can find my review on obsessiveviewer.com. But it's so good. It's so good.
Nice.
But what I wanted to talk about with it was that Netflix did something really interesting. They put director commentaries on every episode on Netflix.
That's so crazy.
It's
I'm
awesome.
I'm shocked. It's fantastic. I'm just so shocked that they're how committed Netflix is to what they're doing. It's so refreshing.
Me too. I mean, honestly, hell, Netflix doing what they're doing is what made me start the blog and what eventually became the podcast. Like, I was so impressed by what they were doing that I was like, I need an outlet for what I'm thinking. So I started the blog to post the how Netflix is changing television post. But it's so cool. I haven't seen any of the commentaries yet because, like an idiot, I'm like, oh, I'm going to rewatch the entire series or rewatch the entire season and then rewatch it with commentaries and then watch season 2. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to resist. But it's kind of a slap in the face to the people who bought the Blu-rays, though.
Yeah,
because the Blu-rays and DVDs are bare bones. But I mean, it's on Netflix and it's so cool, and they really are changing the game.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have a little anecdote about TV recently. It all starts from my childhood. No, I'm kidding. But when I was a kid, one thing I always used to do is come home from school, after school, and watch cartoons. Mm-hmm. I was never the kid that got up at 7 a.m. on Saturdays and watched cartoons, because I never got up at 7 a.m. on Saturdays. So I would always watch my kind of cartoons after school, and the ones that I was into the most were the comic book ones. Spider-Man, X-Men was my favorite, and Batman the Animated Series. I think there were a couple other ones as well. And so the only reason that I know anything about comics is from those cartoons, because some of them are actually pretty accurate to the actual books. The cartoons are. Yeah. And so last weekend, or the weekend before, I was just making kind of a standard trip to Walmart at like 3 in the morning, because I work weird hours, and I was trying to stay awake so I didn't fall asleep too soon. It's weird. It doesn't make sense. But anyways,
third shift.
Yeah. So I was kind of just roaming around Walmart basically, because there was nobody there, and I spent like an hour at Walmart. It was weird. And so I was looking through the DVD section, and they have those giant bins. They have like a $10 value one, a $5 value one, and like a $1 one that they have DVDs just piled in them. And so I was looking through those, and I found Volume 1 of Batman, the animated series.
Oh, nice. For $5?
It was actually 10.
10.
And I looked on Amazon, and they're like $18.99. So
yeah,
it was awesome. I was like, oh, man, I used to watch this all the time. And I was looking on the back at like the episode list, and I was like, I think I might remember some of these a little bit.
Nice.
And so I just brought it home, and like the first volume has 28 episodes on it. It's awesome. It's absolutely. It would be worth $20. I would absolutely pay full price for it.
That show is fantastic.
It really, really is.
It's transcendent.
Even
incredible.
Yeah, watching it as an adult, I have all these nostalgic feelings for it, of course. But even just if I were watching it for the first time, I would be so impressed with it. The music is incredible. It uses Danny Elfman's original score from the Batman film in the 80s, 89 or something like that. Mm-hmm. And that's I would say that's either on par or even better than what Hans Zimmer has done with the Dark Knight trilogy.
Wow.
It is an incredible score, that original Danny Elfman score that he did for that movie. It's just perfect.
Oh, I'm gonna go out. Matt, you seemed a little taken aback. I'm gonna go out and say it's better than the Hans Zimmer.
Oh, wow.
I think I might too.
I love Hans Zimmer. I love Hans Zimmer, and the Dark Knight trilogy is leaps and bounds better than anything Tim Burton and certainly Joel Schumacher did. And the Dark Knight trilogy is better than the animated series. It's better than everything. Anything Batman, that is the best. But it is one of like the most iconic scores, is that original Tim Burton Batman Danny Elfman score.
To be fair, I do prefer Hans Zimmer's Inception and Inception score to anything else. So
I thought his Inception music was better than the Dark Knight.
Yeah, me too.
But it's that music is just is Batman. It's so perfect, and it fits really well with the introduction credits that they put together for the cartoon. It's just perfect.
Nice.
And the show is great because it has it's a Detective Comics feel to it. It's very noirish. There's even like in one of the episodes there was a diner, and it was called like the Noir Diner or something like that. And it's just it was so perfect. Like it's always nighttime, and there's
all the buildings are very Art Deco.
Right, and there's blimps, there's police blimps in the air, which is ridiculous, but it works so well for Gotham.
Nice.
And all the guys are wearing fedoras and double-breasted suits. It's just perfect. I love it. And the voice acting is fantastic. Mark Hamill as the Joker is just perfect. And then Kevin Conroy voices Batman so much better than Christian Bale ever has. He uses Christian Bale just went raspy for the Batman voice, but Kevin Conroy he made it like he used inflection and tone so much better.
That's what I was just going to say. There's a tone change.
It's a tone, and it's an attitude.
Personable as Bruce Wayne.
Absolutely,
and it's just slightly higher and slightly warmer when he's Bruce Wayne.
And
then colder and deeper when he's Batman.
Yes. It's just an incredibly well done well done series. I absolutely recommend it.
Nice.
So, and I looked at. I'm gonna buy the other 3 volumes too. Definitely.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really love their work, Mark Hamill and Kevin Conroy's, their work in the Arkham games. So.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
I remember when I might have told this during our Nolan retrospective, but when Batman Begins came out, because I was so familiar with the score, because it was in both the movies or all of the movies and the animated series, I remember like by the end of the movie saying, "Yeah, Batman Begins was pretty good, except they didn't use the theme."
Yeah.
Right.
I was young. I was a high schooler.
Yeah.
It's kind of inspired me to look up some of the other cartoons, and I actually
nice.
may have been fiscally a little bit irresponsible on my part, but I went on eBay, and they had a lot purchased. It was all of the X-Men animated series DVDs. Wow. I think it's like 6 volumes, and it was only like the highest bid at the time was like $61, and I was like, dude, that's like 6 seasons for $10 a piece. That's pretty good. I'll just go ahead and put in a bid. It probably won't win, and I ended up winning it.
And that bid was $300.
No, it's actually like 68.
Okay, that's not bad.
It's totally. It's been so much fun rewatching it. The Batman one, and I like I said, I think the X-Men one was actually my favorite.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that. I'm trying to find the Spider-Man one, but I can't really find it anywhere. I don't know if it's
there is no 90s Spider-Man animated DVD.
That sucks.
It's only there's the 60s one, Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, and that's it.
Yeah, that's
yeah. It's disappointing. That's one that I've wanted for a very long time. They have a lot on YouTube that I've been able to kind of piece together and watch, but that's the big one for me. It's the Spider-Man animated series.
Yeah,
nice.
I loved that as a kid.
Yeah,
cool.
The finale of that is so awesome. Do you remember, guy?
I don't remember
episode.
All I remember.
I don't know.
Is
I don't remember
storyline.
Mary Jane is kidnapped and taken to some other dimension. And I feel like it's the Spider Slayer that Spider-Man has to take down, but he can't take down all of them by himself. So he has to get a bunch of different Spider-Men from different dimensions.
Oh.
To take him down, and one of them is like the doppelganger Spider-Man with 8 arms. One of them has like a silver costume on, and then one of them, Spider-Man, is just a normal guy, but he's a celebrity. And then in that world is Stan Lee, who created Spider-Man, and so Spider-Man and Stan Lee like go swinging around New York.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that sounds really cool.
Huh.
Mike, have you watched the follow-up series to Batman, the animated series called Batman Beyond? Have you watched that at all?
You know, when it first came out, I watched a little bit of it. I wish I could remember more about it, but
it sounds intriguing. But I don't think I haven't seen any of it. So
it was good.
Okay,
it was good. I remember liking it, but it feeling different.
I think the premise of it is it takes place in the future, and it's like Dick Grayson's son finds like old reclusive Bruce Wayne and basically takes over the persona of Batman, but he has like all this futuristic extra equipment and powers. Yeah, it sounds kind of interesting, and I guess it's like all new villains. Like I think Bane makes an appearance, and maybe another classic Batman villain, but everyone else is kind of new, so maybe it's not as interesting for that reason. But it sounds intriguing. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Cool.
Nice. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we're at about... how long have we been talking? We're at like about an hour and a half.
4 hours or so.
Yeah. Anything else you guys want to bring up?
Oh, there's plenty, but if we're out of time...
Yeah.
We mightn't talk too much.
Yeah, awesome. I don't really have anything else to say. Kind of sick of talking to you guys.
What's that?
Kind of sick of talking to you guys.
Yeah, man.
Just kidding. I missed this. I felt bad that we didn't record last week.
Yeah, that's all right. Got to do what we got to do.
Yeah.
Me and Mike, it's a lot of shit on your back.
I can imagine.
We did.
Yeah. I was in agony, you guys. Yeah, that would have been an awkward episode. Like, I would just be like, yeah, so I watched her. It was it was like the worst pain I've ever felt. It sucked.
So you watched a pirate show?
Sure.
Awesome.
All right.
So yeah, that about does it, I guess. Should I count us out?
Let's do it.
Do it.
All right. Well, thank you for listening to our improved episode of the Obsessive Viewer podcast presented by ObsessiveViewer.com, where you can find all of our links or all of our articles and reviews and things about movies and TV. You can also find us on Twitter. I'm Matt at ObsessiveViewer. Tiny is at ObsessiveTiny. And Mike, of course, is at I am Mike White. You can also email us at ovpodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget to vote for us for Podcast of the Month on podcastland.com. They don't send you anything without asking or anything like that. You just send your email, they mark it as a vote, and you're done. And then also, if you have a podcast and you want to be in on the Oscar pool, contact us at any of the aforementioned places. Also, like us on Facebook, by the way. Other than that, I'm looking forward to this Oscar pool, guys. Are you?
Me too.
Yeah, should be good.
Yeah. Well, thanks for downloading. Thanks for listening. Can't wait to hear from you guys. So, talk to you guys later.
Thanks, guys. Amanda and I are so caught up on all our shows we have nothing to watch. So what do you have for me?
Well, I was gonna say we can wait and talk about shows in a bit because to cut it. Sorry, man. I'm sorry because I wanted to talk about some more movies. I wanted to keep kind of divide it up. Is that cool with you guys?
Sure.
I'm sorry. That was really good. So maybe I'll cut that and put it at the start of when we talk about TV.
Well, I could just say it again.
Yeah, do that again. Exactly how you did it.
So let's talk about TV.
No, wait, not yet. God damn it.
Okay. What do you have to say?
Okay. Which that would be a good segue, I guess, if you guys want to talk about TV.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
No.
That's good.
You can go ahead and say your thing now.
No, I think we should use your thing. Okay, well, speaking of my wife and I...
Oh, that's great.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
Oh,
this show just took a turn.
It really did. It took a turn a while ago. We haven't been at this for a while. Yeah. This is what happens when it's so weak. Spit just went down my throat.
Oh, damn gallbladder.
I know.